So far, we've been talking about how we can become more hopeful ourselves because that is the first tenet of hope that we have with the Hope campaign, and that is hope for self. So we've looked at ways to become more hopeful by having hope thoughts, by thinking hope, by speaking hope or the language of hope, by imagining hope, by taking hope breaks, how to rest in hope, and how to move from despair to hope. So that has primarily been focused on self. Because as we say, you cannot give what you don't have. So you have to first become hopeful yourself. Now we're moving into the second part, which is just as important, and that is being able to share that hope with others. So we're going to talk about how to make hope connections. And I'm so excited because this is an essential part to the whole practice of Hopeology. How now we can connect with others to bring this hope that we have and that we are practicing daily, and then helping them to begin to practice hope. So let's look at how to make hope connections and what a hope connection really is. A hope connection occurs when you bring hope to someone by connecting with your heart. A hope connection, connecting with your heart. And the scripture verse that we've talked about before and that we see as the foundation of making a hope connection is 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter and the 13th verse. 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. When we're talking about making hope connections, we're talking about connecting not just with the head, but with the heart. And we have specific strategies and ways that you can do that and really make a difference. Because one of the things that we're looking at, one of the indicators that we're looking at, is the epidemic of loneliness and isolation that is sweeping the land of the United States. As a matter of fact, the Surgeon General released a warning on last year about this very thing, and how America is becoming more and more isolated and disconnected, and it's grown to epidemic proportions. So when we don't know what's going on with our family members, because that's the second tenet, hope for family, oftentimes our families may be suffering in silence right in our very backyard. This epidemic of loneliness and isolation is a real thing. And so often when someone faces that total devastation and hopelessness where they commit suicide, they'll leave notes that say that this was going on and they were feeling this way and that way, and no one in their world knew. So with these hope connections, as we connect with the heart, we can get to the heart of the matter, and we can begin to share hope with people no matter what is going on. And a part of that hope that we'll see is help, because if we can help them to find the resources and the things that they may need in order to come up out of whatever the situation may be, or they may just need a friend or someone to talk to, or they may just need to know that someone cares. That's why these hope connections are so very important and such an intricate part of the practice of Hopeology. Hope connections. As a part of the Hope Pass It On campaign, Mothers in Crisis is encouraging everyone to make hope connections. A hope connection occurs when you bring hope to someone by connecting to them with your heart. This can occur through hope chats, hope fusions, and hope spheres. And we're going to talk about those in detail, how to have successful hope chats, and then how to create hope fusions and hope spheres. And hope spheres are simply creating atmospheres of hope. And I'm so excited about that because it can be used when we're talking about working with teams or groups, or even in your family, in the church, in whatever organization there may be, that we can come together and say, we're going to create a hope sphere or atmosphere of hope. With so much happening all around the nation and world, we could all use a little hope from time to time. A hope chat occurs when you intentionally bring hope through your conversation to someone who needs it. So let's look at that intentionally. So that is one of the main parts of the practice of Hopeology, the intentionality of it all. We have to be intentional about hope and intentional about being hopeful ourselves, and now intentional about bringing hope to someone else. So when you're intentional, then you'll understand, okay, there are components of this hope chat that I have to make sure that I understand and that I adhere to so that I can be successful. And that takes focus, 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 focus. A hope chat occurs when you intentionally bring hope through your conversation to someone who needs it. That person can be a family member, a coworker, a friend, or someone you meet while standing in line at the grocery store. And before we get into talking about hope chats, I just want to spend some time talking about the epidemic of loneliness and isolation and share some of the findings that the Surgeon General presented in his report on last year, and some of the recommendations. Because as I share this information, you will see that what we're talking about with making hope connections, it's an intricate part of the solution to dealing with loneliness and isolation. So I'm going to share that with you, a little of that information with you now, and also point you to the link that you can go to in order to read the full report. According to a Surgeon General advisory report that was released on last year, the United States of America is experiencing an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. The report states that this public health crisis of loneliness, isolation, and lack of connection in our country is fundamentally affecting our mental, physical, and societal health. The report further states that lacking connection can increase the risk of premature death to levels comparable to smoking daily. The Surgeon General's report indicated, given the significant health consequences of loneliness and isolation, we must prioritize building social connection the same way we have prioritized other critical public health issues such as tobacco, obesity, and substance use disorders. Together, we can build a country that's healthier, more resilient, less lonely, and more connected. For more information about the Surgeon General's advisory, please visit New Surgeon General Advisory raises alarm about the devastating impact of the epidemic of loneliness and isolation in the United States. And you can find that on the internet.